Hi, I'm Jim Knotts, President and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Welcome to today's virtual reading of the names. 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. As part of our commemoration, we'll host an in-person reading of the names at the wall from November 7th through 10th, 2022, when all 58,281 names on the wall will be read aloud. In the lead up to that event, we'll be reading names each day online while sharing the photos of these heroes. For our daily virtual reading, the names of the service members will be read by month and day of death between the years 1956 and 1975 in alphabetical order for the given day. We apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Know that our readers are doing their best to honor these service members. We hope you'll listen and watch each day and share with others as we remember and honor those who gave their lives during the Vietnam War. Bill R. Ackerman, Dwight I. Ade, Francis Allen Anderson, Gregory Van Armstead, Paul Joseph Baker, John Lawrence Banks III, Bartolo Amador Barella Jr., Terry Joe Barnholt, Michael McKee Barr, Larry Batts, Robert David Binkson, Thomas Benyon, Michael Anthony Blondin, Stephen Douglas Board, Roy Bradley Boyd, Henry Paul Bronner, Kenneth James Brenner, John LaRue Brem, William Anthony Brown, Carl Anthony Brown, Guy Joseph Brungard, Hans Wolfgang Brunner, John Bishop Cabana Jr., Martin Joseph Canavan Jr., James Kenneth Caniford, Thomas G. Carlisle II, Carl Lee Carson, Richard Castillo, Stephen Sam Choi Ching, John Joseph Clark, John Willard Clary, Russell Leland Clay, James Bradley Claybaugh, Robert Owen Cole, Richard Coleman, Ross Willard Collins Jr., Thomas Lewis Cottrell, William Gale Cox, John Coyle, Ollie Edward Crenshaw Jr., George Richard Cuthbert, Bruce William Daniels, Charles Harold Edwards Jr., John Joe Elzenrath, Kent Douglas Erickson, Donald Frank Irvin, James Lewis Fields, Raymond Lee Ford, Michael Angelo Fratali, James Murphy Ferguson, Michael Lee Gandy, Cornell Harrison Gibson, Howard M. Gifford, David Lewis Glasscock, William C. Gould Jr., George Christian Gray, Robert Marshall Gribble, Richard Edward Griego, Gordon Marlowe Gunhos, William Robert Hanley, Richard Conroy Halpin, Anthony Jean Harness, James Elmore Harrell, Joseph Lester Hart,
Paul Eugene Harvey, Thomas Carmen Henry, Francisco Herrera, Frederick William Hess Jr., Jimmy Ishmael Hicks, David Lee Hines, Larry Keith Hockett, James Robert Holmes, William Hadley Hosea, Kenneth Edward Hume, William Paul Hurley Jr., Larry Albert Iannetta, Sterrett John Ingleston, Raymond Stephen Inslee, Jack Marion Jones, Frank Leslie Keck, Terrell Olin Kimber, David Michael King, Michael Perry Knight, Kendall Robert Cruz, Norman Edward Lane Jr., Joseph Laszlo, Robert Dean Lauber, Roman Henry Leicht, Mario Robert Leone, John Leventhal Jr., Ronald Charles Logan, Don Michael Lorber, Julio Malaby, Mark Dwayne Marshall, Charles Edward Martin, Rafael Martinez, Donald B. McCoy, Paul Ray McFadden, James Marion McKinley, Jose Medrano Jr., Joseph Michael Mermejo, Ronald Ray Meyer, Thomas Edward Miles, Curtis Daniel Miller, Lester James Moe, Merle Alvin Moyers, Robert Alton Mulholland, James Wayne Multhaup, John Michael Murphy, Melvin Dew Newton, Lee Everett Nibelink, Maurice Thomas Noel, Agnello Carlo Nunziato, Jim Edward Astrike, George Adam Owens, John Leroy Party, Merlin Leroy Paulson, Edwin Jack Pierce, Roger Allen Peterson, Gilbert Coroa Peixoto, Marvin Eugene Penry, Harold Eugene Penson, Danny Franklin Perkins, Dennis Newell Peterson, Charles Robert Purcell, William Sidway Price, Victor Heenan Pritchard, Dennis Ray Puckett,
Michael Jonas Pinnanen, Samuel Virgil Ramsey Jr., Irving Burns Ramsauer II, Michael James Randolph, Martin Joseph Regan, Thomas Rendon, George F. Reynolds Jr., Barry Arthur Roche, Herbert Charles Rice, Frank Louise Rodriguez, Michael Allen Rose, Richard W. Rosignol, Manuel Ruiz, Robert Edwin Runavera, Richard Joseph Schvicho, Gary Arnold Scott, Mac Donald Sharp, David Preston Shelton, Glenn Tugio Shibata, Robert Eugene Simmons, Richard E. Slavin, Michael Lee Sloan, Philip Corey Smith, Terry Cleveland Smith, Edward DeWilton Smith, Jr., Richard Lore Stansbarger, Warner Starks, Howard David Stevenson, Paul Robert Stepp, Jr., Andrew Richard Stewart, Jr., David Ira Stiles, Wayne Robert Swan, Lee Bernard Tate, William Anthony Todd, Gerald Riley Towater, Crawford Henry Traver, Juan Ramon Trevino, Kenneth Henry Vicentine, John Hall Vivian, Kenneth Richard Voss, Michael James Wainwright, Charles Clarence Walker, Charles Joseph Wanzel III, Connie Virgil Wells, Philip Bruce Wenrick, Richard Allen White, Thomas Arthur Weiss, Michael Lee Wilkins, Paul Edward Williams, Nathaniel Willingham, Barclay Bingham Young.